Good evening, YouTube world, and welcome to the Arm Wrestling Buzz episode 55. I'm your host, Paul Italia. We got the Arm Wrestling Buzz crew in the house. We got Matt Hollywood Conley in the house. We got
Whoa.
Israel Chavez, and our guest tonight, Paul Linn. What's up, fellas? How's everybody doing?
Great. Glad to be
Doing
on.
good.
Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. So we know we got a big event coming up June 1st, set by King of Table. We know Paul Lynn's got a big match that day. But before we get into your match, I want to talk about a couple of the other matches. Let's start off with that left-hand match between Artem Morozov and Ivan Myashenko. So, Paul, I want to get your thoughts on that match. How do you think that's going to turn out?
Man, Ivan is somebody that I didn't know a whole lot about until I started really digging into like the international aspect of the sport. And after getting to know him and really look at his body of work, this dude is something special. Talking about a hook puller that essentially is untop rollable. He's able to force his lane on just about everybody. And then you look at the opponent and arguably the number one left-hander out there in Artem Morozov, who's an absolute phenom, just getting bigger, stronger, and better. He can hook, he can top roll, he can do everything, and he's a specimen. I see that match. I think it's going to wind up in a hook. I think Ivan's going to be able to hook him. The question is, can he finish him from there? Does he have enough high-end horsepower? Depending on, what Morozov comes in at, like if he looks like superhuman and we know he has endurance, I think that match is actually going to be a screamer. I think it's going to be like a long, dramatic match. I have a hard time picking it. I give Morozov a slight favorite because I think he may just be too big and enduring inside the hook.
What is the weight difference between these two? Do you know?
I don't know if there's a cap for this or not. But if Artem is allowed to come in at whatever he wants, then we can see that 300-pound version of him, that 290-pound version. And Ivan's more like 250, probably walk around 250. I can't see him pushing himself much further than that based on his frame.
Israel, what's your thoughts on this match, man? Who do you think has got the more power in this match? You're muted right now. Got to unmute.
Sorry. I'm going to have to agree with Pauline's analysis. I think that Ivan Matyushenko is definitely going to be the better arm wrestler. I think that, hold on here. Freaking. Can you guys even hear me? My mic isn't even connected.
Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Okay, anyway. So I think, Ivan's going to be the better arm wrestler. Morozov, we don't really know what his condition is right now. I hope he's, back to healthy and in peak form. But Morozov is one of those guys that he's kind of like, the world is not really sure where he's at. We just know he's at a very high level. It's going to be a great match. And I think that I'm rooting for Morozov. I'm a big fan of him. He's up and coming. He's young, but tough task.
Who do you think's the favorite?
Honestly, that's a hard question. I think right now Morozov has more to lose. I'm gonna have to go with Ivan Matyushenko being the favorite, honestly.
Matt, what's your take of this match? Who do you think's going to get the W that day?
No, I'm just excited that these left-handed matches are getting this big platform and big stage. There's so many people out there that are so good on left hand, and it gets sort of swept under the rug a lot of the time. People are like, left hand, left hand's just for holding drinks and all that sort of thing, opening doors. But you've got people that are absolutely elite, and you can put on these fantastic matches, and that's what we're going to see here with Morozov and Matyushenko. I'm just reading a comment here from Brian Bowen who says that Ivan has the hand and Morozov has the arm. So I think it is one of those contrasting style matchups where you've got somebody that has a very specific, unique sort of skill set versus somebody else who has almost the opposite. And yeah, like Paul said, Morozov is going to be coming in heavier. He's going to be enduring. He's going to be that powerful guy. And he's my tip for winning this match.
You think that speed could play a factor in that? You think Ivan's got the speed advantage on Artem?
Yeah, well, if you can hit into your lane and get the position that you need, that's always a massive bonus. If you can just get off that go, even that quarter inch, and get into your position first, that could be the difference between winning and losing. But Morozov is conditioned. He's powerful. He would be expecting that. I think that he's probably got a good game plan lined up in case that does happen.
Paul, what's your thoughts on the setup, man? Do you think that Ivan's got to go with the speed approach on this and get the hit
Yeah,
on Artem?
I think Ivan has he definitely has a speed advantage. He's possibly one of the fastest hook setters. But I know what I've found over time is the activity of setting a hook and finishing it at the same time. Like you very rarely see like hook drag flashes, especially when the strength is close. So I think Ivan is going to beat him to the punch and turn him. But that snappiness is a lot of times shoulder sideways and wrist flexion with supination. All of it driven into that boom and slight shoulder forward. But then you have to work into the motion of actually pinning. That's where I think it gets weird because Morozov has such a good bicep. And we've seen him hang on in absolutely weird positions like the Cadorette match. Like in absolute like completely open. We've seen him shoulder behind so many positions, and we haven't seen him. I haven't really seen him gas out yet, which I think the speed could win Ivan some matches early on, but I just wonder how long that can last. That high end tour.
And who is number one in the world with the left arm? Is it Artem Morozov? Is he ranked number one right now, or
I think so, if my memory serves me. I believe so.
Israel?
But I
Do you
mean,
think?
that ran him to the wire. That was a great match.
Yeah.
No, I was just agreeing with Paul. I believe, yeah, it is. He is number one.
Okay.
Travis Bajan, isn't
Yeah. Right.
it? Sorry.
So we just got another big match that was just announced on the card, and this one is exciting. And we actually got one of the opponents in the room right now, and that'll be Ryan Bowen going against Schoolboy. And I was really happy to see this because I seen them going back and forth with each other. I wasn't so sure if they were going to make it go that quick, but I guess both athletes agreed and they were all ready and all. So, Paul, what's your thoughts on this, man? Who's going to get the win that day?
Well, that one was like a hush hush one. I think maybe they didn't want to announce it until after East versus West, or they wanted to give an opportunity for people to change their mind, or I don't know. But I know that was talked about prior, but it wasn't announced until very recent. I think because Leonidas was able to have success against Schoolboy, there's probably a lot of people thinking Ryan Bowen's chances just got a whole lot better. And I'm kind of one of them, you know, it just mainly because of the style in which Leonidas pulled, you know, that rising outside pressure into the fingers. If you would have told me prior to that match that Leonidas was going to win that way, I'd have said, get out of here. And I'd have put my mortgage on Schoolboy. But after seeing it, it makes it a little bit more plausible that Ryan could emulate a similar lane. And I think that might be the only way for him to beat School. I do think Alex is still a complete savage. And I think smart money probably makes him the favorite. Because I'll tell you this, Paul, when I seen Schoolboy in the airport when I landed in Istanbul, and I did like a triple take. I wasn't sure it was him. Like the last time I seen that guy, he looks like he ate the old version of himself. He's massive. He's huge, dude. Like I was just like, whoa, blown away. I thought there was no way he was losing. So I mean, I just gonna be a weight disparity. I know Ryan's got a lot bigger, but I just think Schoolboy's lever length, his hand control, and as of late, he's shown pretty good inside strength too. I think that'll make him a favorite, but you can't count Ryan out, man. There's a lane, and Ryan is a good arm wrestler. And if it's possible, and the strength gap is close enough in that lane, Ryan will find it.
Matt, what's your thoughts on this, man? I know that's your countryman over there. Are you going with Ryan on this one?
Yeah, well, you got to support your teammates, your business partners, your friends. Yeah, I mean, Ryan's taught me a lot in arm wrestling, and to see him get this opportunity and big matchup is fantastic. I mean, we knew about it a while ago, but you know, it had to be quite under wraps. But we finally got the announcement last night, and I ran straight to my computer to make a video quickly to make the actual announcements. Like, oh, I got to tell people about this because I was so excited about it. But both guys having big social media profiles, being huge in the sport in terms of viewership. I mean, Ryan's sitting with over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you've got Schoolboy and his brother Alex Toproll with, I think, the biggest YouTube channel for arm wrestling in the world, and has done for many years now. Yeah, it's incredible to get these guys going up against each other. It should bring a lot of attention, a lot of interest, and I know both guys are going to promote this match through the roof, so it's going to be incredible. In terms of the actual match itself, yeah, I think Schoolboy has basically doubled in size since we first saw him appear on the scene. He's not wearing the backpack and the silly t-shirts and the glasses anymore. And now he's the man. I don't know where you go from Schoolboy to what the next level up, but he's definitely a graduate, and he's a monster. Having experience internationally all around the world, competing at the highest levels. I know he was very disappointed in himself. You can see it on his face that he lost to Leonidas in that last match. I think that's probably one of the key factors in this, is the mental side of it. It seems to be that Schoolboy does get really down on himself very quickly if he loses a round, and it's very hard for him to turn it back. I don't think I've seen a match where he's lost a round and brought it back and actually turned it into a win. I think every time he loses, even a single round, if he's up, he'll end up losing the match. So I think that's one of Ryan's keys to victory there. If he can go all out and get one of those early rounds, he may cruise through to victory because of the mental side that Schoolboy might talk himself into a defeat.
Yeah, say they get into a grinding war. Who do you think has the advantage then?
I think that Ryan is so adept in every area, and he just knows different. He can feel different lanes in every spot. The times I've seen him lose, it's because he's just been outgunned, not because of technical ability or that he wasn't able to find the position. I think Schoolboy has more power overall, but I think that his options would be not as expansive as what Ryan's would be.
What would you say? Because I know Ryan's coming off that loss against Ron Bath over at Arm Gods and all. What would you say? Why did Ryan lose that day? Was it just being overpowered? Was it something he didn't do technically? You were there in person. Kind of fill me in.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't think he was that far away from really having a good chance at winning that match. And he said that one of the things that really surprised him was that Ron's ability to continue side pressure for a very long, extended period of time. He's never felt that before. Normally somebody will pressure up and they'll start pushing, and you'll get maybe 3 seconds of power before they'll have to sort of recover for half a second and drive again. He said that Ron's side pressure was relentless. He just kept that level of power going the entire time, which was not something that Ryan had experienced before. So he was in a defensive position, waiting for those moments when Ron would take a breath or relax the power for half a second to be able to move into a different position, or maybe to bump and try to put some work onto Ron. But it was just relentless pressure coming from Ron. So yeah, I guess if you've never experienced that before, and it's not something that you've felt on the table in the moment, it's quite difficult to adjust to it.
Israel, I want to ask you, what do you think? Who do you think is a bigger challenge for Ryan? You think it was Ron Bath, or now being Schoolboy, being so big with those big levers?
I definitely think Ron Bath was a bigger challenge for sure. I mean, he's been pulling for all these years. The guy is still at the top of the food chain, regardless of his age. Schoolboy losing to Leonidas, I think, kind of definitely raises Ryan's stock. I think everyone was expecting Schoolboy to win, even himself. It kind of looked like it, after Matt said, after he lost that one round, it looked like he just, gave up, like, spiritually. He just wasn't even in the match anymore. And Bowen's a fighter, Bowen is going to come in every measure better than Leonidas, besides maybe overall strength, which obviously Leonidas is a freak and he's one of the strongest people in the world. But in every other arm wrestling measure, I think Bowen is going to bring more to the table. And yeah, Schoolboy will probably make it competitive at the beginning. Maybe first round will go either way, possibly the second. But I think towards the end of the matches, Ryan is going to take over and show who an arm wrestler is.
So you got Ryan grinding this out and going endurance route and kind of just getting Schoolboy out of it mentally.
Yes.
Let me ask you guys this. Say Ryan goes and gets a dominant win over Schoolboy. What would you guys think of a Ryan Bowen versus Engin Terzi match after that? Paul Linn.
I don't think Engin will take it. I think Engin's trying to lose weight, and Ryan's like, I don't know how big Ryan is right now. Is he 110? I don't know. I don't think I don't think that match is going to happen anytime soon. But it could be interesting.
Well, let me ask you this, Paul. If Ryan knew that he was going to get the opportunity to pull Engin Terzi, I'm pretty sure he would lose whatever weight he had to, lose just to, get on the table with such a legend in the sport. Say that did happen and all. How do you think that turns out, man? And do you think that would be a good thing for the sport? Because I think that would put tons of eyes on it. So many people like kind of wanted that back in the day, and with the feuding back and forth, I think that's just a perfect way to kind of end the beef between these two guys and start a new beginning after that. They could shake hands after and go separate ways, no matter what happens. So what do you think, man? Do you think that could be a good thing?
Well, if let's say the weight catch was 90 kilograms, I don't think that would be a good matchup for Ryan at 90. And I'm only saying that based off of his performance against Ray at 90. And talking to him after he made that cut, he was like how depleted he was after making the cut, mentally, the total effects of making the cut. I don't think, unless there was a significant weight gap, I don't think it would be a great matchup. And again, I mean, yeah, it's cool. I love the idea of like settling stuff on the table, because it's the easiest way to do it in arm wrestling. We're all in a competitive sport where we can do it one-on-one. So it's the simplest way to settle an argument, aside from just fighting each other. So it would be, I think it would generate a lot of hype. I just don't think either athletes at this point, Ryan would probably have to lose, let's say it was 100 kg cap. Ryan would probably have to lose 10, 12. I don't know where he's at right now, maybe 15 kilograms. And and I think that's where it would have to be in order for it to be competitive. So, and I think Engin has spoken so much about wanting to get back into the competitive aspect and be a champion of, one of these said leagues or both of them, the core sports like partnership or whatever. But that's such an impossibility when you're hosting a tournament. And I mean, those of us who host tournaments, I don't know if you guys have ever pulled at your own. It is a lose-lose, and you are in trouble if you're going to organize a tournament and then try and compete at it, especially if you got to cut weight. So I think Engin is probably, when he makes his comeback, I would advise him, as I have in the past, do it at King of the Table. And make sure you got plenty of time to get that weight where you want it to be so you can hover right around there. I think like most of the people, we're all anticipating the comeback. I know he's kind of had Samusha on his mind for a while, but I don't know how we would ever see that match until something was negotiated at the King of the Table platform. But we'll see. Anything's possible, right?
Yeah. Matt, what would your thoughts on a possible Engin versus Ryan Bowen? And I agree with Paul was saying. I wouldn't want to see Ryan at that 90 kilogram. I was actually there in the sauna with him cutting weight for his coach Ray time, and I know that was torture for him. But I would like to see him at like 100 kilogram and, kind of make that like the cap and all, and kind of just, leave it all on the table after that. And that'll be like our closure to the, Bowen, Engin drama and beef. You think that could be something that maybe we could work out one day and, kind of just squash everything through that?
New Year's Eve, Las Vegas, MGM Grand. Nickelback's going to be the supporting act along with Michael Jackson. He's coming back. He's going to be there. Definitely got to be happening. Buy your tickets now. Go to Core Sports. You'll find it there. It's already been announced. No, man, it'd be amazing. I think if you're going to do a match like that, you'd say, look, like both in this for the fun of it. Do we want to put a weight restriction on there? whatever, let's just jump on the table and go for it, you know. But if you are going to put a restriction, sure, okay, Ryan is the bigger guy. He's going to have to make adjustments for it. He probably could sit at 100 kilos comfortably, I would say. 90 is too light for him, especially since he's been doing all the strength training and he's put on, his frame has definitely gotten a lot bigger. So I don't think he would want to sacrifice all of that. And yeah, if he did, I mean, that would go all of his, you know, strength gains and his ability to win the match. So yeah, I think it would just be a fun thing to do. And it's more of a, let's not worry about the rankings or anything. Let's just get on the table and stare each other down and see who wins.
I agree with that. And Israel, what's your thoughts, man? If we do no weight cap at all, we just let Ryan and Engin go at it, you know, whatever Ryan's at. You know, I think that could be pretty fair, man, because, you know, Engin is one of the best pound for pound pullers ever to live. He's a legend in the sport. So, you know, I don't think weight's going to be, you know, played that much of a role in it. What do you think?
If Engin were to somehow magically agree to pull at any weight as well and get as big as he possibly could, I'm sure that it wouldn't matter how big Ryan was, the match would probably be competitive, you know, hypothetically speaking. But I mean, would it be an amazing match? Absolutely. It would gain crazy traction. I mean, who wouldn't want to see Ryan and Engin go at it, you know? I think it'd be amazing, but
I'd love to see
sounds,
that King of
yeah,
Table. I think that would be the perfect stage for it to go
that would
down.
be perfect for sure.
Yeah, and I think if Ryan gets that win over Schoolboy and, you know, kind of surprise everybody, that could be something thrown out there. Could be a
Imagine like a
possibility.
huge 100 kg Engin, man. That would be crazy.
Oh my God. Yeah. All right, so I want to move on to a couple of the other matches we got at King of Table, and one of those being Monster Michael Todd going against Lars. I don't know too much about Lars, but I've heard people saying they're expecting this one to be like real fireworks in this match. Paul, what's your thoughts, man? How do you think that's going to turn out that day?
Well, I think a lot of people are still hung up on the Frank Lamparelli match, and there's people questioning Michael, and I think a lot of that has to do with the general public doesn't know how good Frank really is. Frank's a savage. His hand is huge. His hand control, his top roll, posted back pressure, all those things that you need to be able to combat the King's move. Frank really has. And when you're doing that at the 250 weight cap or whatever it was, I think it's 115. That guys like that with that skill set make that match interesting. I think Michael gutted it out and found a way to win. Used the shoulder roll, the flop press. You know, he used speed, surprise, different things. You know, and I thought that was a good win. I think that's a great stepping stone match for his comeback. Now stepping into Lars, Michael knows as well as most of us do that this is definitely another step up. Not necessarily because of pedigree or ability level, but because of the stylistic matchup now. We have someone else who has an incredible flop wrist shoulder roll, shoulder forward commitment, someone who can top roll and can open top roll. So this to me is going to be a really interesting match in that I don't think it's going to end the same way over and over. Like I'm not sure we're going to see this in a whole bunch of King's moves. I think we might see both guys try and hit a press. Maybe they try and hit it at the same time, which will be wonderful. And I actually think that might be Michael's best first lane is to meet him there and get there first. But I think we're going to see some versatile arm wrestling. I think a key factor in this is the weight cap too, because Michael can get to 115 comfortably, but it's not necessarily where I think his end goal is. So with super heavyweight matches looming potentially, he's got that added stress and pressure of trying to keep that weight on point, and which he fixates on and he's very focused on. So hopefully that's not a detraction from his focus and prep for that match, worrying too much about the weight and being exactly on point. But I think this is I think it's a great match, and I think it's going to be interesting one way or another. I think a lot of people are probably going to make this a 50-50 type match if they know a whole lot about Lars. I know Michael has the skill sets to be able to win the match, and I'm hoping he comes in, trained up and in a good mental headspace, and goes ahead and executes on that, because I think this is another human being and character in our sport who's on a comeback path, after a major injury, where I think, whether you like Michael or you don't, he still is a polarizing arm wrestler. And we want to see those comebacks continue and let the drama thicken, So I think it'd be good if Michael wins it, but I think this is a tough match, and I look forward to supporting him and cornering him in that match.
Yeah, we need the West to step up. We need our characters to we don't want this to turn on the East versus East, so we all got to get behind the West guys, that's for sure. So Israel, what's your thoughts on this match, man? Do you think the Monsters got what it takes, to come in and get the win this day, man?
I honestly do. I think that we're going to see him even more motivated and ready for action this time. I think what Paul hit on a very important point. I think a lot of people were not aware of the level that Frank Lamparelli is at. And I think a lot of people were going back to a very old match that Frank had against Michael Todd. I think it was something like 10, 15 years ago. They were obviously both a lot smaller and newer at pulling. But yeah, I mean, I've been, I follow all the arm wrestlers, and I've known of Frank and his achievements. And I was one of the people that was saying that match, I was seeing it going Michael's way, but I knew he was going to be tested to the absolute limit. And he was. And I think, it's just going to shoot him forward. Lars is a guy who's been dabbling in and out of the sport for a pretty long time. I'm not sure exactly how long, but I think maybe around the 10-year mark, something like that. And we've seen him pull with John. We've seen him pull with a few people here and there. I think Devin gripped up with him not too long ago when he was going around the world. And yeah, he still dabbles in the sport, but I think Michael's going to be able to pull this one off. I think stylistically it is going to be a tough match, and Lars brings the tools to beat him, but I think Michael will come in.
Matt, what's your prediction on this one?
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting match. I think it means more for Michael than it does for Lars. I think this is really, as Paul mentioned, his comeback momentum really derides on this. I mean, getting a win over Frank is sort of kick things off. And if you can continue that with this win over Lars, then I think that would really push him to be like, oh, yes, I am still part of the elite. I can be one of the best in the world, and I will keep pushing in that direction. I think a loss would really, really derail his motivation. I know this guy's never going to quit arm wrestling, and he's going to do it forever. And he's one of the legends in the arm wrestling world. But in terms of his push towards the elite, I think this match means more to him probably than anything else in his career as to whether or not he's going to continue down the elite path. So as Paul mentioned as well, in terms of the stylistic matchup, they are very similar. Lars is such a big guy that his ability to sort of use his weight and power is what Michael's going to have to control. And it's almost like you could say they're mirror images of each other, but I'd say Michael's slightly not as powerful in terms of just raw strength, but I think I'm just sort of picturing the match. I'm seeing it sort of going back and forth between techniques. I'm not sort of seeing that this is the way forwards, that somebody's going to win this. I think it's just going to be like somebody's going to try this. It's not going to work. It's going to get blocked. They're going to move back. They're going to be countering each other back and forth. I'm so glad this is going to be for 4 rounds, because you get to see all of these techniques and strategies playing out. And it's not going to be that this person's the specialist in this and this person's the specialist in this, and whoever's stronger is going to get it. It's going to be like a plethora of different things happening, and you're going to see that play out each round, and each round will determine the next round as to what strategy is going to be implemented there. So from a technical aspect, it's going to be incredible to watch and see all the games and shit that's going to take place.
Well, if you had to bet on one, which one would you bet?
I think the fact that it means so much to Michael, and I'm sort of rooting for him. I really want him to get back up to that level again. I'd be putting money on him.
Okay. Now, the next match that I want to talk about is one of my favorite arm wrestlers to watch, and that is Onagbayev, and he's going to be going against Oleg Petrenko. Paul, what's your thoughts on this match?
Man, this is such a tough one. We see Onagbayev come off of, the loss to Hutchings. We've seen an amazing performance against Michael Todd, an amazing performance against Irakli, some of the most beautiful arm wrestling you could ask for. But Petrenko is the X factor here because, there's some data on him. We've seen some matches, the one that sticks in everybody's mind is the match against John. And I think John was in really good form at that point, and Oleg was kind of, getting back on the horse. I think the Oleg that we're going to see for this match is going to be a full level above the one we saw against John. But breaking that match down and looking at like stylistic options, when you talked about Ron Bath having that like hydraulic, consistent side pressure, John, I know from experience, has that same hydraulic, consistent pronation, which has allowed him to stop a lot of these top rollers in that B-side losing position and pronate through them through his thumb pad, which I think Onagbayev has a very similar ability, and maybe even from a more technical and polished, stance. I think you got to make Onagbayev the favorite. I know he's not happy. He wants Todd back. I know he wants that match. He wants to have a Hutchings match. You're going to run that back. He's got to win this. So I think like when Matt talks about who has more, at stake, I think Onagbayev does. And Kazakhstan, if you guys have never maybe it's different when you're in the presence of these dudes. You can tell that arm wrestling is the only thing for them. Like they come as a group, they wear their jumpsuits, they love their country, they sing songs after they, win, and they got their flag. These guys, I don't think there is anything more important in their existence, which is why they bring such a professional approach. So I make Onagbayev favorite. Now I'm buddies with Oleg. I'm rooting for Oleg. I really like the guy. He's a sweetheart. And I hope he can make it competitive. I'd love to see him pull it off. I think that would shake things up big time. But I have Onagbayev as a favorite.
Israel, who's the favorite in your book?
Definitely Onagbayev for sure. Petrenko's going to come in strong. I agree that we might see the best Petrenko we've seen so far, and it could make it an exciting match. But I think that ultimately Onagbayev is going to definitely pull it off.
Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Just reflecting that Onagbayev is the favorite for me there. I think he's just right at the top of the food chain. He's at that 1%, and I don't see Petrenko being able to match him.
Now, what do you guys think though? Do you see it being a 3-0 sweep, or do you guys give Petrenko at least a round or two?
I think it's a sweep.
Okay. What about you, Poland?
I think he can win one. We see Onagbayev. We see him lose sometimes and come back. He out arm wrestles people. And I think, if Oleg comes out and his hand is like a rock, and he's able to get a little bit of wrist flexion and cup in there and have the ability to go sideways, I think we could see Oleg steal an early round. I do think it'll have to be early, probably first round. But, Onagbayev's defensive top roll and his setup game and his enduring nature, he's a warrior. And when you watch that guy outlast Michael Todd in the weird positions and stuff, it's over 6 rounds. It's hard to bet against that guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4-2 Onagbayev on that. But you notice how everybody's going with Onagbayev that. So, he's the overwhelming favorite on the Arm Wrestling Buzz show. So I'm going to mark all these down. I'm going to see. We'll come back to these and see who gets them right at the end. All right, now let's go on to this one. This one is exciting. Hermes Gasparini versus Denis Tsyplenkov. I cannot wait for this one. Paul, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I've broken down my thoughts on this, for a while now, even before it was announced. And, it still holds true. I think a lot of people question Hermes after the match with Devin. And I think there was that match was so much less about technique, strength, and stuff, and it was more about this, according to Hermes himself, Devin basically had made a home up there prior to that, and he was not on his game, and it was very, very evident, and he was clearly flustered. I think that match with Devin could have been much more competitive. I think Hermes, again, like we're seeing him post videos, PRs and stuff. This guy is not. I don't think he's done peaking yet. Like, and I think we might have a couple more years before we see where Hermes Gasparini is going to go. And I don't think that Dennis right now, you know, after Devin essentially did a very similar thing to him, you know, in that match where he got upstairs there. But not only that, Devin kind of laid out the roadmap on how to deal with Dennis in the open top roll and how he kind of pronates through that low grip and thumb pad. And it's almost like, you know, the little surges and gain a little bit, stay on them. That's already Hermes' game. And I think Hermes is actually better at that than Devin is. So I have Hermes as a favorite. I would love, again, it's another deal where it's like, it's hard to like not want Dennis to win because you want to see Dennis continue to be that name up there or chase. Cause you know, when you're talking at that top 5, top 4, we want Dennis in there. You know, I think the fans of arm wrestling, regardless of what country we're in, we want Dennis Tsyplenkov there. I just don't know if June 1st is going to be that date for him to make the next step.
Matt, what's your whole take on this match? Do you think there's a couple lanes there for Hermes? And what about with Dennis? Does he have a couple lanes, or is there just maybe one lane? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it'd be an interesting match. It's definitely the right match for both of these guys in terms of whoever wins this is going to be sort of dictating where they're going to go with their career. I think it's more important for Hermes. I feel like when I look at Dennis and when I hear him speak and he's sort of feel his vibe around arm wrestling, it almost feels like he sees himself as he's had his time, he's had his day, and he's just sort of back almost because this is the thing he's known for, and this is, oh yeah, I guess I'll continue to do that. I don't feel like the passion from him when I see him sort of on it. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I don't think that he's going to be pushing for that super elite. I think he's almost at that point where mentally he's in it because it's just the right thing for him to be doing. I don't think it's because he's desperately trying to be number 1 in the world, which I think is what Hermes is doing. And you can see his attitude in terms of the way he approaches matches is all in. He wants this. He's desperately wanting this win to get the next opportunity to go against. He wants Levan. He wants Devin. You don't hear Dennis talking about those things. Very rarely does he sort of mention many of his future plans in arm wrestling. In terms of his ability on the table, the guy's, you know, he's obviously a monster and he has been forever. But I think a lot of it really relies on his strength. I think he lost probably a third of that when he got sick. I don't think he's going to get back to the level that he was at, especially at this time. I mean, it's probably been 5 years since he sort of stepped away and had those issues before he can actually really get back to those elite levels again. And yeah, I just don't think he's going to get there. I think that he's going to lose this one, and then maybe some of the shine is going to go, and he might be looking at doing more entertainment sort of matches as opposed to trying to push for that elite number 1 spot.
Let me ask you, Matt, what do you think changed? Is it his willingness to go all in, meaning as far as pancakes? Because we know he had that health scare years back, and I think that's why he left arm wrestling and all. Is that why you think he's not going to reach that peak again?
Yeah, I think it's probably that mentally as well as physically. I think that what got him to that level was probably the amount he was willing to push. And you know, if you're going to be sitting at that, that's where you're going to get those sort of health risks and you know, the side effects are going to be coming in. So to get back to that level, it's like, well, is it worth your health again? Like, I don't know if your body will respond the same way, even if you did sort of push it to that. So I don't see him getting back there. And that's probably one of the main reasons.
I also see it as like it's more of like a style matchup for me. I look at this match, him going against Hermes, is Hermes got such an advantage with that explosive speed off the go and with that transition that is so quick where he could just go from top roll to a press. And I just think that style is just horrible for Dennis to deal with. Where I would much rather see Dennis go power for power against Levan I think that's more of an interesting match and more of a better style for Dennis. What's your thoughts on that, Israel?
I mean, definitely, I mean, if you look at Dennis back from, the Nemiroff days, Slotty Tour 2013, he was, I mean, the guy was as freaky as he's ever looked, just enormous. And, being an athlete, especially a strength athlete, it's got to somewhat be on your mind that you're not able to get to that level again. I mean, it's got to inhibit you to a big degree, So I don't know. I don't think it's possible right now for Dennis to get to that level. I think maybe he needs more time. I think he's trying to figure it out. I try to keep up with his training, and he looks kind of slim right now. I would say he doesn't look very as big as we've seen him even for the Devin match. So I'm sure he'll fix that. Hopefully he's fixing that right now for the match. But I don't know. I think these guys are right on what they're saying. I don't think Dennis is ready to gun for that #1 spot just yet.
Let me ask you, Paul. Is it more of a time thing, or is it more of a willing to go all in, like I was saying with the pancakes and all? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Dennis at a young age was at such a high level. And he was at such a high level, not just in arm wrestling, but physically in general. We're talking about mega lifts, like we're talking about strict curl championships. We're talking about he trained in the gym at an intensity level at a young age, and he put miles on his body and on his joints. And if you've ever been in his presence, you can see that kind of in the way that he carries himself. You got arms that don't straighten. You clearly have joints that hurt. And then he runs into some health issues, which may have put him on some doctor's restrictions on what he can and can't do. Not just physically, but maybe, as far as how far he can push himself in general. So you look at the totality of it and say, man, like, how hard is it for this guy at this age after living the life that he lived? How hard would it be for him to get back to that prior form? Would it even be possible? I don't know if that's even in the cards right now. But like Devin has always said, he believes that because Dennis is not at that prime strength level, that he has adapted and become a better and more efficient arm wrestler because of it. And that's why Devin, put so much clout on the match he had with Dennis. He had himself all wrapped around the axle because he believes that Dennis can be at a very productively high level in the super heavyweights in arm wrestling. Maybe he won't. He probably will never touch those numbers he had in the gym on lifts or anything arm wrestling specific. But it doesn't mean that he can't be an incredible arm wrestler even as he gets older, because we're all forced to adapt. We can't train as intensely with as much volume or as hard, but you find ways to work around that. And that kind of talk about like people having the gift of talent, and how that can set you back. Right. So like if you're the strongest guy and, or whatever sports you play just comes so naturally to you, you're not forced to like develop any type of technique or work where that average guy has to work to become great. Now, when you have an injury or a setback or something, life tells you can't do what you used to do, and now you ain't going to be the strongest guy. Now you got to find a way to adapt if your heart's still in it. And I think Dennis has a lot more miles on his tires. I think we'll see him continue. And I think hopefully this isn't a derailing type match, where there's setbacks, because the sport needs Dennis Tsyplenkov.
Yeah, I seen in the comments, I seen Ryan Bowen actually throw this out there. If he doesn't get the win against Hermes, I like it going with like a Travis Bajent left-hand match, Dennis Tsyplenkov and Travis, Travis making the comeback as well. Both guys not in their prime, but a match that we never got to see in the prime that we all wanted to see. So, having that now, I would be excited about that. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, man.
New Year's Eve, MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nickelback, Michael Jackson coming back, Engin Terzi, Ryan Bowen headlining. No, sorry.
Literally that. That would be a huge
Love to see
match.
I could see something. I could see something like that happen, man, because we know that Travis is coming back. They're looking for a match for him left hand.
Yeah.
People were saying maybe a Devin Travis left hand, but a lot of people were saying, Travis ain't ready for that yet. This might be a good start off. Would be a Dennis Tsyplenkov, Travis Bajan. I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I
Paul,
would
you're
love that.
smirking over there. Do you
I would
know
love it.
anything, man? Is there anything
No,
behind the scenes?
I don't know anything. I wish I knew something cool I could share. I don't, but I would
Oh,
actually love that. I just don't think Travis would take it because
That's
I
what I
think,
was gonna say. Yeah.
yeah, as much as Travis talks a good game, I think he's questioning his own level right now. Like, not we know Paul, we know Travis well enough.
yep,
He's usually louder when he's not confident.
yeah,
So I don't. I think Travis is the he's his own best manager. He sees 7, 8, 9 matches ahead. That's what I think he wants to work out, and I think it's really good business. Like, look, I'm on my comeback. I'm not ready to jump at these. I mean, I've talked to him. He says it on podcast too under his breath. Like I'm not arm wrestling Ermey's left arm. I don't care what more what Alishon just did to him. That guy, no, I'm not doing it. So I think he has in his mind a few steps that he wants to go to. But in the same, I would love to see him pull Dennis because I don't think that Travis, after a few months of training and dedicated focus, I really don't think he's far off. I really don't. Uh, you know, as much as the guy talks crazy and people want to hate on him, he's not too far off if he commits, if he chooses to.
yeah. I agree, but we got football season coming up, so that everything could change and
Yeah.
all bets could be off. Then you don't know with him.
Dude, I know it. I know it. I kind of deal with it every year myself. And for him, with Tyson doing what he's doing, and in this transition year here to see what's going to go,
Yeah,
I mean, how could you think about anything else if you're Travis?
I agree with that. So now I want to change over to we just seen a video going out between Alex Cadorette and Devin Larratt, and they were doing some practice pulling. So kind of just want to go around the room and kind of get everybody's thoughts on what'd you take from that. Start off with you, Matt, on this one.
Well, I haven't seen it. I didn't even know about this.
Oh wow,
What?
okay. So we'll let Israel catch us up on this, man. Israel, you want to kind of fill us in on the practice pull with Alex Cadorette and Devin Larratt?
Yeah, so they posted a quick video of them pulling right and left. It was just, practice pulling. They didn't show too much, but they were doing a couple, little red line pulls. Alex was stretching Devin out pretty good. Right-handed, it was a little more competitive. But left-handed, man, he was really making Devin's arm go straight. And I think they're just getting together to kind of plan. I think Devin's trying to get Alex prepared to do the job that he feels maybe he wasn't able to do. I don't know, but that's very heavily what it feels like. What do you guys think?
So what do you say, man? You're thinking that he's training him for Levon? You think he's trying to get him ready for that? Is that your
Yeah,
take?
that's definitely what I'm getting from that. It seems like, Devin is looking for somewhat of a successor to take on the role of the next guy, the next one to beat Levon. And going for Alex Cadorette, I mean, he's definitely, one of the top guys in the sport with the most genetic potential to just be able to do that.
Paul, what's your thoughts on that? Do you
I
think
mean,
that's what's possibly going on?
I hadn't really thought about it until Israel said it. And now I think he nailed it. I think he kind of, I think, they just exchanging energy and everything. And I don't ever weigh a whole lot on practice pools, especially like post matches and things like that. There's always variables. And Devin practice pools a little bit different than he pulls, well, a lot different than he pulls in competition. But that said, I think we all can kind of agree that if there is that quote unquote heir apparent who may, eventually be, or is potentially in that running for that number 2 to contest for that number 1 in the world, is probably it's Alex Cadorette. I mean, he's the newest. It's either Alex Cadorette or Artem Morozov. And Alex poses the bigger physical structure and the bigger tool set. So, I mean, and he's also like the coolest dude that ever walked the face of this earth. He's absolutely the best positive energy dude that you'll ever meet ever. Seriously, like one of the most like endearing people I've ever met. So he brings like a unique level of showmanship and natural skill set that I think it would be easy for a lot of people to get behind him on his climb. But I think it's inevitable at some point that he's knocking on that door, whether he kicks it in or not. I think he's going to at least be knocking on it very, very shortly. And I think Israel's right. Devin having the opportunity to work with him and share a few things maybe and help get him ready as Devin's transitioning down in the weight classes, that's very much like that.
What was your take from it, though, Paul? Because you said that it was a practice pull and you really don't take much from that. How do you think that would actually go if they were doing real ready goes in a super match fashion? Does Alex beat Devin these days?
Well, I mean, like when I practice pull with Devin, he usually lets me win once. So I I know damn well he's letting me go somewhere that he shouldn't let me go. But I think the difference between Devin, like Devin is an amazing practice puller, but he pulls in such compromised positions unless he knows he can't. And I'm not saying that he was in those positions, and I'm sure he was giving Alex all he had at that point. But I think the thing that separates Devin is his setup game, his pre-match, like all the stuff that leads up, then his setup game, and the way he's able to trouble most of his opponents in the setup and the pre-match, build up, which I think that would be a big hurdle for Alex. But when it comes down to sheer power, strength, hand, everything, genetically, that's probably Alex's, he's the favorite in all those aspects.
Okay. I would like to introduce another guest on tonight, Rickard Borman. What's up, brother? How you doing, my man? Welcome.
It's super good to be on here. I can't believe it, man.
Well, I'm glad
Thank you
to
so much
have
for
you
the
on, man.
opportunity.
We made a video, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks back, about you being the possible next phenom, and that was after that really impressive performance you put on at the round robin over in Australia. I think it was at the AWE. Was that an AWE round robin, Matt?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the AWA Grand Prix.
So, guys, if you guys haven't seen that, get over to the AWE channel. Go check out this round robin, and you're going to see this guy, man. What a phenom. He came in there and talk about domination. I mean, it was just nuts. And then it just continued after. I heard he went in the tournament. He destroyed everybody there. Then went on the after pull table, smashing everybody. Lachlan Adair came, got on with that, started pinning Lachlan. Like, I mean, it just... couldn't believe what I seen. And then I find out that, how old are you now? 21 years old? Is that so?
Yeah, I just turned 21 yesterday. Or 2 days ago, yeah.
So let me back up a little, man. Let's get your details and all. Where are you from? How long you been pulling? And kind of give us a little background of your athletic background and all.
Okay, yeah, so I'm from South Africa. I've been in Australia I'm going for 2 years now. And I've probably been doing arm wrestling for over 2 years training it. But I've always been a massive fan, just watching the sport, and I've been in the gym, and I'm actually a rugby player, so that's where everything started for me, and the competitiveness and all that. So, and arm wrestling is just a sport you can really go at it and challenge someone else, and that's why I fell in love with the sport, and I like training it. The movements is cool, so yeah.
So let me ask you, brother, how did you come in so good, man? Like, where is this domination coming? Is rugby a good transfer over to arm wrestling? Is there other strength that you developed over the years? Like, where do you think it is? Or are you just a complete natural phenom?
Oh, well, I won't say that. I think I'm very lucky. And the thing is I do train hard. So I think it's a little bit of luck and hard training that gets me places. So yeah, and I really enjoy the sport. I think that's the big thing I take into account.
Very nice, very nice. So I just
Yes.
wanted to include you in this conversation. We were just talking about the Alex Cadorette and Devin Larratt practice pull. Did you get to see that by any chance?
Yeah. Yes, I've seen it. Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy.
I want to get your thoughts of that whole. What did you take from that whole pull and all?
Yeah, like Paul said, we all know Devin, and he tries everything. So I think in a official match that could be dangerous for Alex Cadorette. He's a monster. Don't get me wrong, but if Devin gets a stop even in training, it means something. It means something. So yeah, that's why I said I can't say much, but I think that's a tough one.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think there's a possibility that Devin sees Alex Cadorette as possibly the guy that's going to give Levon a good match? Do you think that
Well,
that's what's
he
going on
should.
right now?
Yeah, he should, because Alex destroyed Georgie. So, and I know there was a couple of things wrong with Georgie. I think any injury, any type of injury can put you off on the day. It's just a mental thing. I know I'm a rugby player, so if it's even just your finger, it puts you off when I'll go onto the field. So yeah, Alex is a big frame. His arm is he has a long arm, and that could cause potential threat for Levon's wrist. Because I mean, if Devin can cause Levon's wrist to just get a small crease in it, I think Alex has a pretty good chance of cracking it. Yeah, but it's
Yeah, I
tough.
mean,
It's tough because Levon is the next level, man. That guy is crazy, crazy.
yes, he definitely is. And don't forget also, Alex Cadorette has the win on Hermes Gasparini as well. So got to
Yeah,
keep that in mind. So, he definitely has the caliber level of wins to go against Levon for sure.
yeah,
Um,
100%. It's tough, man. I think Levon is just this monster in our sport that it's tough to see anyone beating him.
yeah.
Do you guys see that match going differently today if Alex and Hermes were to have a rematch?
I do 100% yes. I think Hermes would be the favorite. Yeah.
What
Paul,
about
what's
you,
your
Paul?
thoughts on
What do you
that
think?
one?
Alex and Hermes.
Yeah, rematch.
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what is like. Let's say Hermes wins against Dennis. I think that match makes a whole lot of sense. Unless Hermes is already saying, I don't think now is the time for Hermes to go straight back to Levon. I think there should be another match in there. And I think that match makes a whole lot of sense. Difference is, I think that both of them improved vastly. Um, and I'd love to see it run back because the real question is, who widened their own gap from the previous self. And I'm not sure. Again, for me, I just can't. Alex is so green. He's so much newer than Hermes. He's still refining himself. And I don't know. I'd love to see it run back, and I think it's a match that makes a whole lot of sense, especially as Alex is advancing his brand and his marketability with his showmanship. I think their pre-match lead up could be pretty funny too, because both of them are pretty funny. And I think the match itself would be great. I mean, I don't even really know how to predict it because I think both of them have trended upwards, you know. But I think it
My
would be
big
good.
my biggest question that I never really got an answer was, where did Alex go for that year? He kind of like disappeared and went under the radar. And my thoughts are, if he was there just training secretly and just getting that much stronger to level up and come back and just shock the world, and that's what he's doing right now, then oh shit, everybody's fucked. Like, Levon could be fucked right now and we don't know it yet. Now, I don't know if that's the take that actually happened. Does anybody know where Alex went for that year?
He was planning on tripping Georgie on a mountain hike and took a
Planning it
while to
out
get all the
perfectly.
details sorted.
Well, we're gonna have to find that answer out. I'm gonna have to get Alex on. I'm gonna hit up Alex and see. We'll get him on one of the buzz shows and kind of get down to the bottom of that, because I'm telling you guys, if that's what went down, and we just got to see him going against Georgie, and we all know that it wasn't a good matchup at that time because Georgie was going through the leg problems and all that. But I mean, Alex just looked so aggressive and just animal like. I'm starting to think that's what he did, man. He just went into hibernation and got himself peaked out, and now he's just ready to unleash on the world. And I'm hoping that's what happened, because this is going to be an exciting climax. Because just like you guys said, maybe Devin knows that went down, and Devin's like helping him out and getting him ready for those last details he's going to need to go against the big man. So we could all hope. I hope that does happen, though. Um, I want to go before we get on into the elephant in the room. I wanted there's just a couple more matches I just want to touch on real quick, and one of them being Jerry Cadorette versus Vitali. We know that's been announced and all, but we haven't heard much going back and forth. And, you know, I want to start getting some hype on this match because this one I think has potential to be a really good one. What's your thoughts on this one, Paul? Who do you think is the favorite in that match?
Everybody's gonna jump down my throat about it, but I think Jerry's the favorite. And I'm not saying that Jerry's the favorite because he's been the most active, or he's the most gifted, or he's the strongest, or he's in the best form of his life, whatever. But I think that this is a really good stylistic matchup for Jerry. I think that, you know, Jerry's going to take it as serious as he possibly can because this is the road back to where he wants to go. And I know he's been focused on that number one spot. He wants to pull Levon. He's really wanted to for quite some time, and he's been pretty vocal about it. And I think a good convincing win over Vitali could be that next step. And I think, like, you know, Matt brought good points about who's got more to gain or who's got more to lose. What's more, who has more skin in the game? I think Jerry does. And I think if we saw Dave Chafin show the ability to kind of flop through with what's not really completely a flop press, but something different that Dave just did in the moment, that shows, you know, there's an opportunity to exploit what is normally a physical advantage for Vitali. That post, that ability to be low hand. And that's the other weird thing too. When you're dropping your wrist and you're going full low hand and somebody has their wrist already bent back, ready to push into that straight down. I just think Jerry has a heck of a chance. And I'd love to see it, you know, especially, you know, being a Team West guy. So, I mean, I think it's great. And I think if Jerry wins that, it shakes everything back up. Now we put Jerry's name back in there with all those ones that we were just talking about.
Well, I already hear the talks going on. Today I heard that possibly if Jerry gets the win against Vitali, they're already in talks with possibly making Hermes and Jerry rematch happen in Florida in August. Now, what's your thoughts on that? Because we know the first time Jerry wasn't, you know, up to his par and all. Would you like to see that rematch again, Paul?
I don't love that match because it happened so recently. And you know, the advantage Jerry would have is he won't have to go through all the fiasco that he had in that travel. Paul, I'm sure you know all of the crap that he went through, you know, trying to miss in flights and everything else. The travel is definitely a real thing, right? Like it's tough for us to go over there and do what we're doing. I think a lot of us have just kind of adapted to it. Does that give us an advantage to be able to do it here stateside? I think it does. Like, but I just don't love that match because it happened so recently. And I think that there are more interesting matches out there. Maybe that's the match that Jerry wants if he wins that because he wants to get it back, or it's the higher ranked guy or whatever. But I'd like to see. I think he'd be a very troubling matchup for Cadorette. You know, like he's a lot of people's boogeyman. You know,
But
and
what about this? Let me just say this. What if we jump that and even he gets the win against Vitali? What if he goes to Levon? Is that too quick, or he needs to have another match before that?
who does Levon pull though? Like, so you can make a case that Jerry is the next guy. You know, like if Levon's saying, "Well, I'm not 100% yet," or whatever, maybe I don't. Maybe we'll wait for that, you know, that rematch between Hermes or Cadorette or whatever. Then maybe it does make a little bit of sense, you know. And it's a match that a lot of people from the United States have been calling for. Now, whether that can happen in August is a different story because now we're battling all this visa stuff. So maybe that has something to do with Jerry and Hermes rematch. That could have something to do with it. People's ability to travel on short notice. But yeah, man, I think if Jerry wins, like especially decisively against Vitali, it's he can make a very good case for that to be the next opponent for Levon.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see it though in August. I'd want to see Jerry with like at least a 3-month training camp for Levon. This way, you know, he goes right off that win from Vitali, you know, then go into just a Pacific camp for Levon just to get ready for that. And the reason why I think that one makes sense, it's just the styles, man. It's just, you know, like you said, who else we putting Levon up against, you know, that's, you know, not going to get totally blown away. Where if he gets that press in there, this could be an interesting match. That shoulder gets behind with Jerry, there could be a new king on the planet.
It puts Levon in weird uncharted territory too, where there's this guy that doesn't care about his wrist, and you're traditionally a top roller with a long arm, big hand, and now you got this guy who doesn't care about his hand and he's going straight sideways, going straight down. Is Levon capable, or is he willing or brave enough to grab that man low and meet him in the middle? Because can he do it? I don't know. You would think he's strong enough to do it, but being strong enough to do it and timing it and everything else are two different things. So I think it's interesting, and I think it could be built as a very hyped up match.
And where would you like to see a match like that? Would you rather see that in East versus West or a king of table? Well, I mean, it really wouldn't matter because it would still be a 7-round match because it would be a title match.
Yeah, they're all 7-rounders now. So I mean, king of the table, I believe, is still using 3 fouls. Is that correct or no? Did that change?
I think they are.
So I mean, if you're looking at it and saying, okay, we want to see this bloodbath, if it stops, then maybe you want to see it on king of the table. You allow for as many restarts as possible. If you want to see a long, grueling Jerry bloodbath, and probably
always want to see that. Always want to see that. Elbow, Engin. So, Rickard, I want to get your thoughts on Vitali versus Jerry Cadorette match. How do you think that turns out, man?
That's also a tough one. The thing is, Jerry is something different, man. And I think the match with Georgie was one of the matches that made me realize that guy's press is he's going for it no matter what. That arm is going down. So I think if he gets on the bicep of Vitali, we've seen that bicep is not that strong. He needs the hand, he needs the high ground. So if Jerry can get on that bicep, I think it's a hard day for Vitali.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know. It's difficult. Because we've seen what Emerson has done. You need to take Jerry low and disconnect him from his shoulder. But I don't know. I don't know if Vitali can do that.
I also want to ask you, who is your favorite arm wrestler? Who's the guy that you look up to and inspire to?
That's David Larratt.
Devin Larratt.
Yeah, this is how everything started for me. So I was just laying on my bed this one day, and I was going through YouTube, and it was this WAL matches. And it was my first match I ever watched was Jerry versus Devin. That blew my mind. Boom, that was crazy. And then after that, the next match popped up, and that was Michael Todd versus Devin. And I was so sad. I was so sad that he lost that match. But yeah, that's where everything started for me. And I just started following Devin, and yeah, ever since, just love the sport. I don't know, it's just something he brings to the sport, to the table. It's no words. I have no words for it. Yeah.
Have you got to meet him in person yet and gripped up with him?
No, I would love to, man. I would love to.
You will.
Nice.
Give it. Rickard, I was at that match, the Devin and Jerry one. Yeah, I was kind of blown away too, being right front stage and Devin grabbing him low and hooking him. It was just
jumping in with him.
That was a special time in arm wrestling, much different but special. But I want to just give you some kudos too, because I did watch that round robin, and I was so impressed. I think that people like you in the sport, like I say it all the time. There's a lot of people who arm wrestler purists and stuff just don't believe that there's weirdos walking around, and quite often those weirdos are coming from other sports. And the fact that you have a rugby background and, the training, the mentality that goes into that, all that stuff carries over. You can take everything you learned in that sport, the toughness, the tenacity, the breakdown, the preparation, all of that can be applied to this finite little arm wrestling sport. And then your ceiling goes from here to you know what I mean? So I think the more guys that we get like you at a young age, the better. And I do have one question for you. Are you now done with rugby, or are you going to continue to are you doing that actively as well?
So I've got injured. I tore my ATFL in my ankle. So that's about 2.5 years ago. And I came over to Australia to play rugby, actually. And everything went quite well. I had a great preseason, and something happened to me, and I've got shin splints. But it's basically tibial stress on the inside. and it just got inflamed and inflamed and inflamed. It didn't get better. So yeah, this went on for a year and a half, and still today. But it's getting a lot better. I've been to a doctor. I've got some new inners, and my feet has increased with 50%. So everything it's getting better. And in the future, if there's a possibility, because I believe that God gave me a lot of talents, and I won't let one of them go to waste. So yeah.
Good man.
But yeah, for now I'm enjoying the arm wrestling world, and I'm giving it everything I have. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind words. It means a lot for me to hear it from you, man.
Thank you, brother. You're the future, man. Stay on the path wherever it is. You know what I mean? Like if it has to pause for rugby, there's plenty of time for arm wrestling. That's the beauty of it. We talk about it like in the United States, like we got plenty of weirdos walking around over here. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, there's a lot of paths in the United States to make money through sports. So when you're young, you're focused on American football, basketball, baseball, whatever else you think, has the biggest, the opportunity for scholarship or money at the end of the rainbow. So it's tough for us to tell our kids like, hey, jump into this real niche sport. But the reality is there's guys like you out there. And when we're blessed enough in the arm wrestling community to get one of you to find us, like we shouldn't be scared of it. We shouldn't harbor information or hold anything back, man. Let this guy flourish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you so much.
And to be honest, watching you run through everybody in that round robin, I know full well that the level in Australia and New Zealand is climbing. And, regardless of what the world wants to think, that level is ever growing over there. So what you did in that round robin, super impressive. Hats off. Keep it up, young man.
Thank you so much, Phil. Thank you so much.
We got a super chat in from John Augustin for $10. He says, if Jerry can wedge in there and set his press, do you guys think he could give Levon some trouble? Who wants to take that?
Oh, yeah, well, I would love to see that match. I don't care about rankings or positionings or who else is in there. I just want to see it. It's East versus West. It's the name of your show. You've got your Easterner and Levon. You've got your Westerner and Jerry Cadorette. Put it together, just make it happen. I want to see it. I think it would answer a lot of questions. I think Jerry wants that match. You can tell the way that his body language, he's sort of frustrated. He's angry. He's determined. He just wants to get there. And he's like, I've got to go through who? Vitali. All right, give me Vitali. Then I want Levon. Like you can see he wants it as well. I would just love to see it and answer that question. If he gets in that press, what happens? Like, answer the question. That would be fantastic to see.
Yeah, that would be the dream come true, to see Jerry be able to get that shoulder behind and to see what actually happens. Will Levon have enough strength to pull through that, or does Jerry, put on the tax on Levon's bicep, and that's the beginning of the end for Levon. So I definitely would love to see that. I also want to ask Rickard, what is your arm wrestling goals, man? Like in the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, like what are you trying to do in this sport? Is this more of like a hobby you're gonna partake as you're waiting to get better with rugby, or is this something you're going all in with and you're planning on going to the top level?
Yeah, 100%, Paul. I mean, I have a lot of support behind me. There's a lot of people that truly believes in me, and I've inspired so many people. And that's the biggest thing for me, is getting messages from people I don't even know and telling me that I'm inspiring them. So it would be really sad for me to just give it up and not give it my best in this sport. So where I'm standing now, I'm enjoying every single moment of it. And yeah, I would like to become a world champ, or even a belt holder at King of the Table East versus West here.
Very nice. So we just seen that you just dominated that AWE round robin. What is next for you? And do you have any opponents in North America, anybody in North America that stands out that you would just love as your next opponent?
Yeah, that's a really tough one, Paul. There's a lot of guys that I watch on YouTube, and I can see myself having a good time with them. But maybe wrong path, eh? Some revenge for Ryan.
Okay, okay. Now, how do you think that match would turn out, man? Going against somebody with so many years experience, one of the best arm wrestlers to ever live. You know, you pretty much brand new, 2 years in the sport. Do you see yourself being like having a real shot at this one, or do you think this is going to be like an unbelievable challenge for you?
Yeah, 100%. It'll be massive. It's massive. But the thing is, I'm taking Ryan's word for it, and I'm a regular training partner for Ryan. And the stories he tells me, okay, experience is a big thing, and everything changes on the day. I know that, and I've experienced it with my first super match against Mario. But I feel I'm in a sport now that I'm starting to trust my arm. I'm starting to commit with my shoulder and all that. Where in the past I was always afraid, just shot back and everything was on my bicep. So yes, I will always give myself a chance. Otherwise I won't commit to it. But it'll be real hard for me.
You said that you went against Mario Tambakis in a super match. How did that turn out for you?
I think he beat me. So this is my first super match ever. That was AWE 2 last
Okay.
year. I can't remember.
It was
When was it,
three.
Matt?
I think it was 3-0. But yeah, it was an interesting
I,
match.
I got
Mario's
one round,
technical
eh?
ability.
I got one
Yeah,
round.
no, you did. Yeah,
The
that's
first
right.
one. Yeah.
That's right. There was some back and forth. You could see the inexperience in setups was basically the reason that you lost. I think you were the more powerful man on the day, but as we've seen in arm wrestling, technical ability it really does
Hmm.
count for a lot. And Mario is a very very adept puller, and it was a very big ask for your first match. But we thought, well, we'll throw you in the deep end, and I just still remember the first go. It ended up being a slip, but Mario's hit into you and his hands peeled away, and your hand didn't move from this at all. It just stayed still. It's like, go. It's like, and
Yeah,
Mario's
and
just walking away.
after that slip, Matt, everything changed. He went to get on my rotation, and that's when everything changed. So I needed to adapt in that situation and put my shoulder forward, but I kept on going back, and that's why I got smashed. Yeah.
Okay, I got
So
to
this
bring
is
this
how
up
we
since
learn, isn't it?
since you have experience pulling Mario Tambakis. Mario's actually coming to the States for next weekend. This Saturday, he's got a big match going against Jason Merlo over in Fort
Yeah.
Lee, New Jersey at Knuckles Up 3. What's your thoughts on this match? Do you have any info on Jason Merlo? Have you seen him pull before?
I think I have seen him, but I'm not quite sure. I have seen him pulling at knuckles up. The thing is, I've heard that Mario's a bit bigger than him, so that's a massive problem for that guy. Is he taller than Mario?
Yeah, he is tall. I would say Jason's like 6'1", 6. They're about the same height. I would put them at the same height. But I think I
Okay.
think Jason has longer levers and he's got the bigger
Yeah.
hand, I would think.
Yeah, it's tough, man. If I can tell you, I see the match. I think Mario will shoot and try to get on his rotation, pull him in. Yeah, I don't think Mario will go for the top roll. I think he'll go for the drag hook. Yeah,
Okay. Paul, I want to get your
yeah.
thoughts on that match. How do you think that's going to turn out?
I have a hard time gauging Mario. I've watched a lot of what he does, but I think I've seen pretty much every one of his matches. But I just have a hard time gauging him. I know a whole lot about Jason, and Jason for a long time was really pigeonholed in this back pressure, cup driven, pronated, like you know, rigid top roll, and he has some of the best finger pressure that I felt outside of a prime storm Chileno. That driving down finger pressure, cup containment, wrist flexion, just an iron hand. So there are ways that we've seen people have success against Jason, and what Rickard's saying is similar. It's the ability to be able to attack the rotation at any given point. It's almost impossible to do it in the setup and on the go. You are going to probably lose some of yours to get it. So if Mario can battle enough with his rotation and gain a little bit of pinky pressure down on Jason's and be able to pull maybe from a compromised bicep position, I think he could potentially win the match. I just don't know if Mario's hand is strong enough to match him up top. I would be interested to see how it goes where if he tries that lane out. Because if Mario can top roll Jason, super, super impressive. But I'm real interested in it too. I don't know the weight gap difference, but I think Mario walks around bigger. Jason's about a 210 walker.
Yeah, and we figured out, I think Mario walks around 230, 235, and he's got to cut down to 220. And mind you, he's doing that water cut and traveling that far, and Jason's, right home there. So
that's a big factor. It's right in Jason's backyard. And I did train with Jason fairly recently, and I will say some areas that you would call deficient on him prior are no longer deficient. Like his side pressure has improved immensely. His defensive holding strength, which it used to be like if you get him anywhere to the defensive side, you would have success. It's just from training with him, he has leveled up big time. And then also after watching the Tom Holland match, understanding where those two levels are right now, that match was super impressive. And I think that should be a great match. Like I'm very much looking forward to that card.
yeah, big time for sure. And if you guys haven't already, make sure to buy the pay-per-view. It goes down Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. They also got a press conference going on Friday. So make sure you get over to the High Five Arm Wrestling Club. You could go check that out on the YouTube channel. You could also order that pay-per-view for Knuckles Up 3 this Saturday. We got a super chat in from KJ Bay for $4.99. He says, not sure if you guys talked about it, but how do you see Morozov versus Marashenko playing out? Really hoping Ivan gets the win. Yeah, we actually talked about that as the first match of tonight, and I think the majority of us thought that Artem Morozov was going to be the favorite, but we are expecting a really, really good match, and can't wait for that one. So moving on now, I just wanted to kind of touch on the elephant in the room, kind of what's been going on in the arm wrestling community, and that's far as East versus West with Engin Terzi. And my question is for Paul Linn. I kind of want to just, get your thoughts on this. And I don't want to get into like the whole negative aspect of it all, but some advice, constructive advice I was trying to give on my rebuttal back to Engin was that I think that the East versus West should have a PR guy, somebody that deals with the social media and kind of the day-to-day, and kind of let Engin concentrate and focus on what he is so good at. And that is, behind the scenes, setting the matches with the best arm wrestling stars in on the planet. I think that's his strong point, but as far as it goes as a PR stance, I think he shouldn't be allowed on social media and all. And when I made this statement, a lot of people were saying that they thought you would be the perfect person as the PR guy for East versus West. So I wanted to first ask you, would that be something that you would consider if Engin came to you with that position? And second, what is your thoughts on having a PR guy for the East versus West organization?
All right, so yeah, the PR thing first and foremost. Like I think, like in any organization, especially when they get big, it's not necessarily even having a PR guy, but a PR team. It's usually a group of people or a group of individuals who advise on these types of things. We're just talking about from the business perspective or the other sporting, the other aspects of the sporting world. So I mean, for sure, as the sport grows, promotion grows, that would be hugely beneficial, because at the end of the day, the amount of work that Engin is doing, to put these events together, one after the other, stacked on top of each other, thinking 3 events out, trying to make matches while other matches haven't happened yet, dealing with all kinds of different financial stuff and balancing things and the stressors. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm amazed that Engin has done as much as he's done. I'm amazed that he has the emotional energy and the capacity to continue moving forward. And, I admire the man for that. That said, for sure, I think like a PR team approach would be beneficial. Like, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. I mean, I think as a whole, if the sport gets where we want the sport to go, like, it's going to have to be part of it. Now, the league itself is always going to have a face. So like, Dana White is the face of UFC. He is not the overall owner, but he is the president and he is the face. Dana is arguably not the best PR guy either. But when it comes to the interviews and things like that, like the got to get in front of the camera and speak for the league. Like I believe that, you know, that's Engin Terzi. But like if he, you know, if I were in his position and someone offered me, you know, hey, we got these people that can, or this business or this company that can handle all the social media promotion, you know, I would love that, because I don't have the emotional capacity for these types of things. Which leads me into your second question. If Engin asked me to be the PR guy, I mean, it's very hard for me to tell Engin no to anything, because I love what he's doing for the sport and I love the dude. And he's become a very close friend of mine. And I would do just about anything for him. So I guess I would accept, but I would beg him to pick someone else because I don't think that I have the time or the emotional capacity to do it. If I did, like if I was blessed enough to be self-employed or, you know, stress-free or independently wealthy, then yeah, I think I would gladly do it. But I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to keep up with the job. But I'm glad to help in any way that I possibly can. And I've told Engin that I'm already doing a lot of stuff that I didn't necessarily ask for and can be a lot of work at times. But I'm good with doing that, you know, for the greater good, because I do see the bigger picture. And I think regardless of, you know, some of the drama and stuff that's going on, I think that the sport as a whole, through all the promotions, regardless of where they rank in, as far as revenue and viewership, I think that every single piece of the sport is on a positive trajectory right now. Regardless of people want to criticize arm gods for being too off the wall or whatever, everything is going in the right direction. You know, and I think as a whole, there's a lot of perceived competition that I think is erroneous. Like, I think that the sport itself will progress with whatever the driving force is. You know, it'll be a trickle down effect, and every promotion will benefit in the long run. And I think that quote unquote competition, meaning like other promotions, let's say High Five, Arm Gods, AW, whatever. I think all of these things are providing an opportunity for arm wrestlers to compete and for more eyes to get on the sport, right? So if that's the case, there's two types of competition. There's healthy competition and unhealthy competition. If I'm coaching football and I got a linebacking core and I got my two inside linebackers, I want them training in a group together and I want them competing with each other the entire offseason. I want them driving each other's gains up. And I want them doing it in a healthy, positive, productive way where they both make each other better and iron sharpens iron. I don't want them in a scenario where one is hating on the other one, sabotaging, or trying to pull the other one down, because we're working for a greater good, and that's team success. That's betterment of a team. So when you have healthy competition in preparation for competition or growth, it's great for every party, for all parties involved. But when there's any type of negativity or like, you know, like the competition becomes to where we want someone else to fail or to make ourselves look, or whatever the case may be, or we want to bring someone else down for whatever, it manifests into like a cancer. So I think like that's why I take the approach I do. I think the sport is moving in a tremendous direction. I like all the promotions. I like the stuff that people think is goofy or off the wall, because I think there's a time and a place for everything. So I think if we can put the petty stuff behind us and just understand that we're all working towards the betterment of the sport, then I think we'll all succeed together. And I don't know, man. My PR rant's done, but I'm very happy about where the sport is. And no, I don't want to be the PR guy.
You can't not be the PR guy with you've just given that speech.
I'm passionate about the stuff, you know, I really am. And, you know, it's like getting started when I got started, you know, seeing new pullers like Rickard jump in the scene, you know, like we're going great places, man. And like, let's do it together. Let's stay positive and productive and take another step every day.
Yeah, let me first start off. The reason why I brought it up to you as far as the PR guy, because I also know Engin, and I know that if Engin is going to give somebody that position, you know, he's going to want somebody really close to him, and I know that's you. as far as with Engin. And as far as a team, that's what I would say to another person, be like, yo, you need a PR team. But knowing how Engin is and keeping a tight leash, I don't see him opening up to a group of people and letting them run their stuff. I think that would be a little too overwhelming at first. So I think, starting off with you is a step in the right direction. Now you could start like with your PR stuff and kind of smoothing things over. That's kind of like where I was looking for that. I'm not trying to give you 10 different jobs, because I know, how dedicated you're going to have to be Engin's PR guy. I know that's going to be a little stressful on you, but I think for overall East versus West organization, I think that's a step in the right direction that I would love to see happen and encourage. And, part of the reason why I believe that is just like the difference in perspective of cultures. I think that's kind of where a lot of disagreements and miscommunication, falls upon. I don't think it's really, any kind of like enemies really. I think it's just people understanding differences in cultures. And when you look at a Western perspective things, it's more of like a free speech and more of like everybody giving their opinions and open to constructive criticism, where when you come to the East, it's not so open like that. And I think that's kind of where we're in that kind of gray area, and people are taking things the wrong way, where some of the Westerners are kind of trying to help out and give their opinion, and I think that opinion is kind of being taken as like an attack, and it wasn't really meant to be. So I think having a PR guy such as yourself, somebody that understands the Western perspective of a culture, I think that would kind of clear things up, for people. And just to give a quick example of what I'm talking about, Engin's kind of PR move after, this whole situation was he had kind of all the top guys of the Easterners to go make this like video, and it was like made into a collage, and it just gave off these vibe of like something you would see come out in North Korea, where it's like everybody's like, oh, Engin's integrity, and like 10 people saying that in a row, and then them looking off the camera like, did I do that right? Like, it just, that didn't come off as a very smart PR move. And I think that's what I'm kind of talking about with the different culture perspectives. So I just hope, this being said, it's not taking as me attacking anybody. It's me of just trying to clear things up,
No,
and
this is positive and productive, right? Where that's the difference. It's above the line, below the line, so above the line discussion. I think when it comes to that, like with the people, putting videos out, like I think that kind of snowballed. I know, like I put a video after the East versus West qualifier finals because we had some drama around that, and I saw some of the stuff that was going online. Mine was definitely unprompted. I know Derek's was. I know Justin Bishop's was. Now I don't know. I can't speak for everybody else because I haven't spoken to all of them. But I think some of the pullers who've gotten to meet Engin firsthand and kind of know him, they'll come to defense for him. Because of the loyalty that he's shown us directly. And I think for me personally, I think you're spot on when it comes to the culture difference and stuff, and sometimes how things are perceived. For me personally, I just have to know a person. Like if I know, this is what makes this person tick. This is what I expect them to do based on their personality type. I can usually work with anybody. Unfortunately, the general public, especially through social media, written form and videos at times, people can get the wrong perspective. So I see it. I know that that's definitely something like you're onto something. I think, and is there a way around it? Yeah, I mean, I think you're onto something. A PR approach, eventually down the road when it gets big enough. I don't think that's a terrible idea by any means. And I think where we're at right now, I don't know if it's yet completely warranted to like maybe hire a company or anything like that. But yeah, I think a lot of things get lost in communication. So you're spot on.
One other suggestion I wanted to throw out there for you guys was I wanted to see if we could get an East versus West printed out, written out rule set. Something that, everybody can just Google up and they could have access to it. So, I think that would clear up a lot of, when we're doing these like satellite tournaments in North
100%.
America. you know,
It's
rather
fine.
than have to dealing with phone calls. And I know you guys don't want to deal with that
Yeah,
either, you know, and I think that would kind of just clear up everybody for everybody, you
yeah.
know, there'd be no more discrepancies as
You-
well.
You're 100% spot on. And like I said, like when it comes to some of those discrepancies, and there was more than one. There was only one that really got ran with, but I know there was others, you know, where there was gray areas, things that we didn't know. That falls on me for not getting the answers. You know, if I'm the title of the director or whatever, regardless of how many people I have helping me, at the end of the day, that falls on my shoulders.
Well,
So I
Paul, no,
need to,
it really doesn't fall on your shoulders. I don't want you always to take the blame for
no, no, no,
everything.
no, it's good.
It
I
should be a
think
rule set. It should be a rule set though, that, you know, so that you can then go from that. You didn't have the proper tools to be able to make, you know, the calls,
I,
and the calls
I
aren't
should
in
have
your,
gone with it.
yeah.
Because here's the reality of it. For the East, apparently they do have a rule set for the East qualifiers. I should have got that or generated one or publicized one. Unfortunately, there were a few things that I overlooked, didn't anticipate popping up. And which is why I said, you know, and Sarah was like, I don't want to blame you. Well, I'm not blaming you. And I was like, no, 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 this is my fault. You know, this is something, had I had the foresight, I could have prevented. So in reality, it got blown into a whole bunch of others, you know, and it just ballooned out and got a lot of people really invested in what actually happened. But at the end of the day, it was an oversight in predicting situations that would have happened where I could have prevented that by getting the information ahead of time. But I'm a human being. I'm living, I'm learning, I'm doing my best. So overall, I think, you know, even with some of those snafus and stuff, I still think we're moving in a great direction with the qualifiers. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of anxiety and stress around it. But you know, if it gets us where we need to go, which means the more opportunities that we have for the pullers around the entire globe, you know, the better that we can bring and give opportunities for people to win their way rather than to wish their way onto that stage, you know? So I think it's a good thing. It's it's not, you know, we were able to give away a good amount of cash, and there were a lot of promoters who used a lot of things out there, you know. So each one of those tournaments, those qualifiers, they took money off the top to put together for the prize money. We did that with no sponsorship. So there was no real money endeavor in this tournament. I didn't make a dime, you know. So it's one of those things that we're doing this really for it's a labor of love. Now, obviously, you know, there's a lot of work involved, but at the end of the day, if we continue to progress and get more pullers out there and these new guys opportunities to go ahead and show what they got, you know, not just on the arm wrestling table, but as far as character development and charisma. I think you know, with the live streams that we had Robert Kelly helping out. He did an amazing job. You know, things are just getting better each iteration that we do.
Oh yeah, and what can we expect coming in August? We know that East vs. West is making their first tour over to North America. They're going to be over in Florida with the help of Chance Shaw. Are you going to be part of that? You're going to be helping as well?
I will be competing and I will be helping. We are going to do a large tournament beforehand that will cater to the new arm wrestlers and amateurs as well. Because I think that's a piece that we're missing. Yeah, we're doing these qualifiers and we're having amateurs and stuff, but having the opportunity to not just go and be a fan, but also be able to compete, but also compete at your experience level, I think is something that East versus West needs to kind of absorb more. Let's figure out what kind of options can we get to incentivize new arm wrestlers to progress. So I will be involved in the organization of that tournament. I'll be competing at that tournament. To me, this event is the biggest one yet, and not because of the names and matches that are on it, because this is potentially a make or break point for if we truly get the opportunity to have more East versus West here on U.S. soil or Canadian soil, which I think if we can pull it off is going to be a huge step forward as far as marketability, viewerships, potential sponsors, all these things that are needed to garner organically to grow this sport. So I have a lot of stress around this because I think, you know, if we don't knock it out of the park, we could potentially take a step back. But I'm hoping we get to a point where in the next year or so we see 2 or 3 over here on our home soil, and not just because of the growth in the sport, but I want to be able to cut weight at home.
Oh, hell yeah, man. So as the new PR manager for East versus West, am I banned from showing up in August to Florida? Because I want to get my VIP package, bro, and I want to be there supporting. So,
No,
Engin, if you're listening, I hope I don't get a phone call like Paul Linn gets a phone call. Get him out of there. You know, I want to come there and buy a VIP seat, man. So
I got fired before I did my first hour of work.
well, I'm throwing that out there, man. I want to buy my VIP seat. So Engin, if you're listening, man, hopefully you're not gonna ban me from there, man. I wanna come and be part of this for
No,
sure.
you gotta go, man. Everybody gotta go, man. This should be, if nothing more, it should be the biggest arm wrestling hangout on the planet. You know,
Hell
like
yeah.
it should be the coolest, most fun time. There'll be a tournament beforehand. We're talking about trying to figure out how we can set up the actual competitors for the main stage stuff to be able to present the awards to the people who win. Obviously, the pro class in that pre tournament is going to be a qualifier, and not only is it going to be a qualifier, but you're going to pull in front of these guys directly. So let your light shine if you're coming, you know. And if not, if nothing more, man, we're gonna have an after pool. We're gonna have a party. It's gonna be great. Like, why would you not come? All the flights are cheap to Florida too. So that's
Oh yeah, and I live over there, man. That's home for me. So I love Florida for real. I want to introduce guys. We got Stephanie Spencer just came in the house. Stephanie is a co-host on the Lucky Ones podcast, which is an all-lady arm wrestling podcast that goes down every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time. You guys definitely got to check this out. And I want to welcome you, Stephanie. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Good.
great, Stephanie. So I want to hear more about this all ladies arm wrestling podcast because I think this is an amazing thing. This is probably, I think, the first ever, you know, and I love the new energy. You guys got a lot of new women that are part of it, you know, Lucky being pretty fairly new, I think 1 year in. And I mean, she's making waves, bringing a great energy to the sport, spreading it everywhere she goes. Now you guys all got together. You got a great cast of women. I know you got a legend in the sport, Christine Castro. You know, you got Lucky, like I was telling you, Lucky Wood, yourself. Who else is part of this, and how did this all come about?
It was all Lucky's idea, and I was so in for it. And especially because I can be a co-host. I really feel like I don't think I could do the job that she does. She's so good at it. I much rather just sign on and laugh and have fun with the girls and try and ask some thought-provoking questions to the people who are on. Maybe some things that they wouldn't think about, like things that you would think about that you didn't want to ask, you know, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, I've been tuning in and I love all the talks that you guys have. You guys got a set amount of topics that you go over, and then you kind of catch up on all the news going on in the community and all. And I think it's just a great idea. And, you know, I encourage more of it. I see that you girls are also now starting to arrange where you guys are all going to go travel to certain tournaments so you could get more of female presence, because I know they've been having a lot of problems, you know, with having enough females in the sport. You know, a lot of time you women travel and there's only like one or two people in the class, and that's kind of defeating to you guys. But now with you guys all, you know, kind of connected and kind of like got this little crew going on, I think it's going to really be beneficial where you guys could start having, you know, quite a bit of turnout at each tournament. So how about that? Is that like helping, you know, arrange better tournaments for you guys and events?
Well, the next one I think the girls were talking about was going to Arizona, because some of the girls from like, I'm not sure who's going to be there, but a lot of the girls are talking about going there. I'm the most excited about the virtual super matches we're doing. It's on October 5th, and I have a super match with Katie Hankey, and it's going to be at Grinder Gym, my hometown. So I'm better train hard because I can't get beat at my own gym.
Oh, nice. So tell me more about this. I like this whole setup. So like a virtual super match, like how do you do it? So anywhere around the country, you guys are going to
Yes.
be, and how does it all come together? Like, you know,
So
how does that
Lucky's
all?
in charge of the live stream. There's going to be 10 super matches on the card, and then as many as we want, as many girls as they want to sign up. There's going to be 10 main ones, and then as many other people who want to sign up. And it's on October 5th, and I think it's starting at 5 p.m.
And what channel is that? That's going to be on Lucky's
Yes.
YouTube channel.
Yes.
Oh, nice. So it's completely free. Everybody
Yeah.
could just tune in. Oh, that's a great idea. I really, really like that. Do you know any of the matches that are set besides the one that you have? Is there any other matches that you know of?
All I know is I'm the third match in, so I'm probably going to be sitting there getting all hyped up, waiting for the other girls to finish.
Very
And I
nice.
was hoping that I was going to make it more fun at the gym. I was trying to come up with some ideas of what else we can do. If it's just, so if Katie's coming down from Portland and, you know, for a family vacation and to do the super match, well, maybe we could do some sort of a round robin at the gym so her husband could have some guys to pull and we could have a few more people there to kind of hype us up. That was kind of in the back of my mind. I'll just see who's not, I think that's going to be the same day as Brandon Allen's going to do a big, really fun tournament that a lot of the guys are probably looking forward to going because they have costume contests and all kinds of stuff for Halloween. So kind of competing with that, like a little bit of an overlap, and we'll see who's going to come. So I was thinking,
shout out to Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen's always doing big things over in Vegas. I love his, he's got his Halloween get together costume, super matches, and all. That's always a good one as well.
yeah, I think he's doing it up in a little bit north of San Diego, somewhere towards LA. I forgot the city, but he's going to be in California with that one. So nice. I think it's going to be all the guys going to go into that.
I want to ask Paul, have you got to see the Lucky One podcast yet?
I have not, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a look. I want to say great job, Stephanie. You're doing God's work, man. Because I think we've all tried to promote women's arm wrestling, and I'll tell you, it has been a humbling experience. And I've come to the understanding that I think the best route is from within. Like the women themselves carry the most weight when it comes to attracting women to the sport, because guys, unfortunately, in this sport, I think we can be a deterrent at practice. You know, whether we're trying or not, I think we wind up pushing people away when that's not our intention. So I think you guys, you're doing something that's specific to women and you're bringing more women to the sport. Great job. Hats off. Keep it up. I'll tune in here and I'll check out. You have some previous ones out there. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hey guys, I gotta run though. My phone is at 2%, and I don't want to drop it like ghost y'all. It's gonna go like any second.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on tonight, Paul. I appreciate it. We got one more super chat. I'm sorry, we didn't even touch on this, and I feel like a retard right now. Ryan Bowen, $5. He says, Paul, how you feeling for Lachlan? We skipped completely over that, man. Let's jump into that real quick before your phone dies. How you feeling, bro?
No, I mean, I feel good. I talked to these guys before we got on. Struggling to get the weight up a little bit, sitting around.
Damn it, I think he's gone.
I think we just lost him. Damn, we were just getting into the good stuff.
Charge your phone, Paul, and call back.
Yeah, for real. I want to get Rickard's thoughts on that match right now between Lachlan and Paul Linn. And I believe you get to train with Lachlan on a regular basis. Is that true?
Yeah, we're having a training session tonight, so I'm actually so keen. I've been away on holiday for probably a week, so I've just come back last night at 12 a.m. So I'm a bit tired, but I'm super excited for the training session of tonight. Yeah. No, the thing is that Paul, Lockie he's scary, man. That guy, his wrist and arm, man. He's so tight and connected. He disconnects everything from you. That's how strong he is. So the thing is, I've seen a lot of Paul's arm wrestling matches. He's really aggressive on the table, so I can just see it as a really cool firework match, him and Lockie.
Hell yeah! And
yes, I'm gonna back my boy Lockie. Okay. So yeah, because Lockie just looks a little bit bigger for me. His wrist is as thick as my calf, so it's difficult not to back him.
Paul is back. He's got his charger on right now.
Yeah, where did I drop that?
Right in the worst possible time.
Yeah, right as you were getting into how you were feeling and all.
Yeah. No, I feel good. I feel healthy. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to pull Lachlan. It's a match that was supposed to happen a long time ago with Ryan. I got the utmost respect for this guy. I think he is the epitome of what a professional athlete in this sport should be. I think he's one of those guys that I think we have a very similar approach to the sport, and which makes it a huge honor to pull him. I think I'm hoping for a really good show and a war. I can't say as to how it's going to go because there's so many unknown factors, but I'm looking forward to hopefully just putting on a real good show with a guy that I respect a ton.
Now, I've been hearing a lot of people have Lachlan as the favorite just because of the size difference between you two. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's how do you want to look at it? It's like, can a guy drop weight and control his body composition the way Lachlan did? Like, if a guy's able to bring his body weight down in a healthy fashion, retain pretty much all of his muscle, is it going to be a negative? We've seen guys do that in the past, and we've also seen guys bring their body weight down slowly to a walk around weight and then lose power with it. And then the flip side is, how much am I losing when I'm cutting to 95? And I don't believe that I lose much just because I'm just so used to the process. So the real question is, if Lachlan is a favorite at 115 or 110, does that change at 105 if I'm able to walk in without a weight cut? And to be honest with you, I don't know. So that to me is why it's so interesting. So am I going to gain power? Is my table output is going to be so much better because I'm going to be able to eat throughout the entire time and to try, there's a lot of X factors and variables. But I like the match stylistically, and I think it could wind up being a banger.
Who has a higher table IQ?
That's hard to say. I mean, I think Lachlan trains with Ryan and a lot of smart guys, and I rank Ryan's table IQ and acumen really highly. And I think a lot of times you're only as good as your training partners and what positions they can put you in. So I don't think that he is inept in any way, and I think he's had a ton of high level competition experience. He's earned his stripes. He's had wins, losses, all kinds of stuff, and he's learned throughout the process. I think both of us have had a similar, we had a similar starting point, and I think we had a similar trajectory, and we have a similar experience level. The only thing I might have a little bit more experience in is all the tournaments that I've done over here. But I don't think at this level that's a huge factor.
So you might have a little more experience at the tournament level. Who would say has the strength advantage?
Depends on how you want to look at it. Like I think that there's certain lifts in the gym that I'll have an advantage at 105. I think that there are certain lifts in the gym that he'll have an advantage at 105. So it's really how do those styles meet up and how do they clash? I know he's been heavy into pronation and back pressure. His back pressure looks really good. He stays so tight when he brings his elbow backwards. His hand looks really, really solid as of late. So, I mean, I've tweaked some things in preparation as I do for every match to try and, when I break the match down, think where do I have to go? Where do I need to be able to arm wrestle? Where do I need to hard counter? Where do I need to soft counter? I've tweaked some things and hopefully I tweaked the right things. We'll find out.
Where do you see his weakness? Like if you had to pick one thing in his armor, where do you see that chink in his weakness?
I don't know. I mean, I think he's pretty well rounded. I think the guy can pronate and pull backwards. I don't think that he has a super like elite clean top roll, and neither do I. I think he has an elite level drag hook. I think he has a really good shoulder committed press when he can get the lane for it. I think he has an amazing bicep. I think his biggest strength is his bicep. So, I mean, at weakness, I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's anything glaring. I think based on his previous opponents, he's arm wrestled pretty well against all of them and in their strengths.
Where do you have your strength? What would you say is if you had to pick one thing, what would that be to stand out?
Probably explosiveness if needed. Explosive surges, but that's no secret. It's the explosiveness, and then the downside to that is how much energy do I expend when I explode. I think my biceps solid. I think my side pressure is solid. I think my side pressure right now is at its all-time high, and a lot of that has to do with health of elbow and health of the shoulder. So I don't know. I mean, side pressure can be negated, back pressure can be negated. All these positives and pros, they all can be worked around. That's what makes the sport beautiful.
What do you have in your head? Do you have yourself as the favorite, or you have yourself as the underdog?
Whether I'm the favorite or not, I always tell myself I'm not. So regardless of how the match is perceived, I fight better when I'm climbing uphill. So I prepare better when I'm climbing uphill. Lachlan is such a great matchup for me because he's such a consistent trainer, and he posts so much, So like I train very, very consistently, but he's done a great job of keeping me accountable to do that extra exercise, or that extra rep, or that extra set, or go just a little bit harder. And I'm appreciative of that. He posts so much, and we've yeah, I think you talk about healthy competition. I think the prep for this match has made me better.
I mean, you guys come off as brothers to me. I mean, you guys do everything the same. You guys kind of look the same. You guys always training and all. So I got it's like the same people going at it, man. I'm excited about this one. This is
Yeah, it's
gonna
awesome.
be
We
something.
spoke a lot in our developmental years too, on like perspective and stuff. And I one of the reasons why I respect the guy so much is I know how much he puts into programming, diet, all that good stuff. I have a huge level of respect for that, and his commitment and work ethic. I think we do have similarities in that aspect. I think we have some personality type similarities. And I think, both of us bring it when it comes to the table. We usually bring a lot of heat, a lot of energy. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait for that day off, man. The energy on that table is going to be crazy, for real. Guys in the chat, if you guys haven't already, just click that thumbs up button. I appreciate that. If you guys have any questions for our guests, just let me know. Stephanie, I want to get your quick prediction between Lachlan and Paul Linn. Who gets the win that day?
I got to drop, guys. I'm dying right now.
Paul, thank you for coming on, brother.
Dying, bro.
And congratulations on your new title as the PR manager of E First West. Man.
Hell yeah, man.
Take that into existence.
Yeah, brother.
All right, guys. Take care. Thanks for having me on. Stay blessed.
Take care, man.
See you later, Paul.
Well, I sure hope that Paul Linn wins. I'm rooting for him, especially if he's the underdog.
Nice. Israel, what's your thoughts on this match? Who's going to get the win that day after hearing Paul talk about training and all?
That's a really hard match, man. Those guys are built from like the same stone.
Yep.
Those guys are, I really think it's going to come down to top end. Maybe whoever has the more top end, because I could see them getting sticky. You know what I mean? I could see them meeting. I'm sure it's not going to, one or the other is probably not going to want to go that way, but I think it'll meet in the middle, and I think it's going to end up being whoever just has more raw horsepower.
Okay. Matt, how do you think this ends?
Well, I'm not convinced that they're not the same person. I think it might just have been Lachlan with an American accent and a goatee. But yeah, both guys incredibly similar on the table. They're both personality wise, tenacious, dedicated, hardworking. They're both very, very adept when they get on the table. It's a coin flip for me. I mean, it's just like you guys do the same thing, and you're both like the same build, and it's like I don't know who's going to win this. I think it's going to be really interesting because it's probably going to come down when it's in those situations to more of the mental side of it. Will the travel affect one more than the other? Will there be other factors outside of it? I think physically they both have like the stats sitting exactly the same, and then it's just the other factors as to who has a better game plan, who adapts better to what the other person did the previous round. So yeah, it should be a very interesting match from that aspect.
Another match that I was sitting here thinking about possibility would be Israel versus Rickard right over here, man. These two super heavyweights. I could see going at it. What do you think about that, Rickard, man? We might want to try out. I know Israel's been in, 10 years plus. He's got a lot of experience and all. But you being this phenom and all and young up-and-coming lion, that could be a possibility, man. Matt, maybe we can make that happen one day, man.
Yeah, it's funny that Israel just disappeared off the.
Yeah, right.
As soon as you mentioned it. It's like,
Oh,
hey,
man.
Israel and Rickard, it's gone. That would be a great match. Yeah, well, this was one of the awesome things about Rickard getting that attention and notoriety and putting on such a fantastic performance at the AWE Grand Prix is that he's getting these potential matchups. And I saw somebody in the comments saying, "What about Rickard versus Paul Linn?" It's like, hey, hang on a sec, just we've got lots of options, which is fantastic. I do like the idea of the Ron Barth match. We've got so many that it's like, oh, that'll be good, that'd be good. Oh. So yeah, we're just finding the best possible move that we can sort of push in Rickard's direction and get the tick from him.
Yeah, because we want to see what level he's at right now. We got to see him at the round robin and all. We don't know how he sizes up against like all the big names in the rest of the world and all. So, I think everybody's interested just to see where that level is at right now. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what you got coming up next.
Yeah.
Can't wait
What
to
do you
see
think, Rickard?
what. Yeah, man, you got to get him busy, man. We're all waiting for sure. And what do you guys got going on over in Australia, man? You got anything coming up in the next couple of weeks that we need to catch up on?
Well, we're planning our next event for AWE, which we're still in the planning stages. And it's one of those things as a promoter, you don't want to announce anything too early, because then if you say, "Oh, this is what we're doing," and then you change it, and it's like, that's actually not what we're doing anymore. So, but yeah, we definitely have a plan of what we're doing, which is involving probably 3 events leading up to towards the end of the year, and Rickard will more than likely be featuring heavily in those.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I can't wait to see that. I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. Everybody in the chat, I appreciate all the support. Again, if you guys haven't already, make sure to click that thumbs up button. And Stephanie, looking forward to this Saturday coming up, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Lucky Ones podcast. We'll all be tuning in. And if you guys already haven't checked it out, get over to the channel. And I think they got like 4 or 5 episodes already out. They could start catching up on that. Is there anything else you would like to throw in there, Stephanie, before we call it a night?
No, just looking forward to the podcast on Saturday, and we're gonna laugh and have fun with the girls like usual.
Oh yeah, well, we'll all be tuning in there, and then
Yeah.
also we'll be looking forward to that big virtual tournament that you ladies are planning over in October. Can't wait to get closer to that. You guys could give us more details and see some of the matches you guys got planned. Oh, there he is, Israel. We thought you were hiding from Rickard, man. I just threw out there. I was like, yo, I'd love to see a match between Israel and Rickard, and all of a sudden you just disappeared on us.
I
Like,
knew
oh
that you were
shit.
talking. My computer died. I had to come back in, man.
Just conveniently as we finished talking about that match.
Man, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Rickard, I would love to get the opportunity to pull you, man. I've been super impressed with everything you've been doing, man. To hear that you're only 21 and you're only killing it in the sport. You've already basically got Australia under your belt, so you got to get out here to get some more competition, my friend.
I would love that, man. That sounds awesome. And yeah, to get out there to pull more people, that's cool, man. I would love that. And to see America as well. That's
Well,
cool.
I just, I didn't get a chance to really talk to you, but I just wanted you to know you have a lot of people here in the States interested, man, all over the world. And you just got to keep going, keep training, because you've obviously got some type of freakish natural potential, and you're only going to go up from here. So you have to keep going, man. You've got a gift.
Oh, yeah,
thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And the reason why I brought that up is when I first got into the sport 4 years ago, Israel was only 21 then. And, he was same thing. He was, everybody talked about Israel. Anybody that's pulled him on the West Coast, they knew what a freak he was. He started at 16 years old, was getting trained by Eric Waffel, one of the legends of our sport, so he has the, that big trajectory that we're all waiting. And, he just got to get out there more and got to see him travel a little more to really show his level. And I'm really interested to see that and to see another young phenom like yourself at 21 coming up and doing it on a world stage, man. It's just really inspiring, and it's just a great thing for this sport. So encourage more of it. And I just want to thank everybody again for a great show tonight. And we'll be back on regular time next week. We're going to be back on Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Just had to change it for this week because I'm going to be making a trip over to East Coast. We got Knuckles Up 3 this weekend, Saturday, May 11th. If you haven't already, get over to High Five Arm Wrestling Club, buy your pay-per-view. You do not want to miss this. This production is like the top in North America. They got some really stacked card. They got all kinds of things set up, a new theater, Barrymore Theater, which is multi-million-dollar theater. I mean, I'm expecting just a next level production. So definitely order your pay-per-view over there. And let's finish it off with the gun show, guys. What's everybody working with? Let's see it, Rickard. Oh, there you go, man. Hell yeah. All right, guys. Thank you again for coming on, and we will see everybody next week.
Have a good one, guys.
Just go.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.